All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the inaugural episode of Gangrene and Eagle Show here on the RTB Network, presented by SeatGeek. I am Christy Francesco, and joining me, as always, is John McElroy, who you can also see once or even twice a week over at our flagship, the Ring the Bell Philly Show. Now, of course, this has been a legendary day if you're a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles, and we will certainly get to that momentarily. However, I wanted to come on here and clear the air about some criticism, as always, that I've been receiving over the last week or so, texts, social media, any platform out there that people can reach me. Um, Facebook, especially.
A lot of
Some people.
Facebook heat today.
Some people's fathers private messaging me. I'm not gonna mention any names.
Couldn't
Um,
be mine.
It, I would never have those accusations against him. Um, so following the Super Bowl loss against the Chiefs, I became supremely burnt out of anything revolving the Eagles. Um, the reasoning for that burnout was pretty uncharacteristic and stupid on my part. I let the loss, the media, fans just completely get to me, and I just completely checked out. I was angry. I was bitter. Um, I just stopped talking about the Eagles, posting about the birds, and stopped investing my heart into the team. And it was dumb, immature. It's something I never did before. Um, from hearing other people outside of criticism, I hurt certain people, I hurt family, and ultimately, obviously, hurt myself, if that makes any sense. Um, while I may have rooted for another team, I never rooted for anybody to just beat the Eagles, unless I was trolling with very close friends, which is always fun. Um, but I never stopped loving the Eagles, if that makes sense. I watched every game. I watched every post game. I would call my dad moments after the final seconds of each game to break down what happened, good or bad. Same with a couple other close friends as well. I love the Eagles. I bleed Eagles green. I always have. I'm part of a group who's had season tickets since 1995. Um, I've been to over 100 games at both the Vet and the Link, countless playoff games. And I've traveled to other stadiums as well to see the Eagles. So at the end of the day, who I am, I know where my allegiances are and where they lie. And I'm sure it'll take time for people to accept that, and I get it. I know how Philadelphia fans are. Some of them, I'm not going to say all. I think it's rude in a way, and it's to blanket statement all Philadelphia fans. They're very tribalistic in some ways. Not just with the Eagles, more so with the Eagles than any other team, because it is the number one sports franchise in the city by far. But it's very real to many people, and it is to me as well to a certain degree. So hopefully this show will be a great platform to express my passion for this team. And again, this whole doing an Eagle show isn't anything new, and John knows that as well. This is something we talked about a while ago. This is
Probably
something,
about November a while ago. For
yeah,
a while, man.
yeah. Before Christmas, we were saying, "Hey, let's get an Eagle show on here." I started really feeling a emptiness of not, you know, outwardly loving the Eagles, probably right around the Buffalo game. And that's when I really started saying, man, I miss being so involved with this team and wanting to go to games and talk to people. But I just felt like it wasn't a good time to just come out and say that, because then, like right now, I just get shredded by by people, which is fine. Again, I'm never going to shy away from talking about decisions I make. I'm a grown man, and I won't back down um, from what I did or things that I've said about the team or lack thereof. I'll always hold myself accountable. Always have, always will. Things I say, and um, I appreciate those who have reached out and been nice, even those who criticize, but then still reach out and say, I'm just kidding around. It's great that you're back on the wagon. I never left the wagon. Social media wise, yes, it may have seemed that way, but you can ask my closest friends, what did I talk about on Sundays with them privately? It was always the Eagles. Always was. Always. So yeah, I'm really excited to do the show. I've been looking forward to doing this, like I said, since late November. So I'm happy we're here. So with that being said, shredding myself aside, let's get to business, okay? And there is a lot to get to. But John, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm happy to be here. As much as I love baseball and everything, I love talking the Eagles more than anything. I can talk about the Eagles all day, every day.
Yeah.
Baseball, I love watching and love playing, but football Sundays are just a different type of a Sunday, and I'm excited to do this show, and I can't wait to get started.
It is, and that's one of the things that I really miss the most, that I really just took myself out of, and I remember, the connections that you make with other fans as an Eagle fan, the connections with family, the connections with friends. There's so many core memories that are attached to being an Eagles fan. I remember, February of 2018, one of the greatest moments of my life, and being at that parade. So those are just core memories, and that's just things that I had to check with myself, and that's where we are here. And it's really cool, man.
I always look at it with this city is like, not everybody's a Phillies fan, not everybody's a Flyers fan, not everybody's a Sixers fan. Yeah. Everybody's an Eagles fan. Everybody's watching the Eagles on Sunday. Everybody's looking forward to the Eagles season. It's just a different vibe here. People who like us who love baseball too, of course, we're going to do our baseball shows and stuff like that, but we love football just as much as we love baseball.
I agree. 365, man. At some point during the week, every single day, there's something to talk about with the Eagles.
And just know, if there's ever a big news in for another team, guess what's going to happen about 10 minutes later? Howie Roseman is going to come in with a huge, even bigger news. Just so everybody's talking about the Eagles, not the other team in the city. It's like,
you're not wrong.
Point. Like, what happened last week when Kelsey retired? There's something big on Sunday happened. Oh, Wheeler got extended. Was it Wheeler got extended? Then Kelsey retires later that day, and everybody overlooks the Wheeler extension.
Right. God, it's so funny you brought that up. That's hilarious. So we thought the fireworks were probably going to go off Wednesday, especially with the Eagles. Well, we could not have been more incorrect about that.
Thing, it's like the whole league, everything goes down today.
Everything went, everything. So Howie's season is in full motion, and I don't believe I could be, any more thrilled with how Monday went, John. Like how the Eagles season ended, which was historically poor, and we know that. It's not something I'm not going to bring it up until probably we preview next season.
Are forgetting that right now.
Yeah, it's like one of those like. If there's like a black hole in everybody's brain that they try to stash certain things away, the final half of the 2023 season, it has itself at the biggest spot in that box to lock up and throw in the bottom of the ocean. So, we knew Howie Roseman wasn't going to just sit on his hands and hope things just got better. That's just not how he operates. A brand new coaching staff is hired. The Eagles lost Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox to retirement. Not just two legends, not just two mega leaders for that franchise, just pillars of the Eagles franchise. But these were two players who were still, John, playing at a very, very high level.
Kelsey was arguably the best center in football, and I'm sure if Fletcher Cox the Eagles weren't going to re-sign him, I'm sure somebody on the market was going to pay him top dollar to play defensive end somewhere. Defensive tackle somewhere. He was going to get money no matter where he went.
Absolutely. And then, so what Roseman decided to do on Monday was just go full nuclear into free agency Monday. And he made out nicely, I'd say. And, firstly, as expected, the Birds extended Landon Dickerson. So NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reported that the extension will be worth $84 million in base, with that max value being at $87 million. So that deal includes $50 million of guaranteed money and a $20 million signing bonus. The $21 million per year of new money average makes Dickerson the highest paid guard in league history. And that leapfrogs Chris Lindstrom at $20.5 million. So by $500,000, Landon Dickerson, John, the highest paid guard in league history. I didn't see that kind of money coming, but we saw the extension coming around the corner. What was your thoughts on that?
I thought it was probably going to be priority number one going into the offseason. He's an absolute monster. He's a stud. Mm-hmm. He was regarded as the best lineman in the draft. The problem is there was injury concerns. He tore both of his ACLs, or the same ACL twice. He had 2 injuries in college, which was a lot of concerns, and that's why he fell to the second round. But it's clear cut that he was the best lineman in that draft, and he's absolutely unbelievable. He's a badass. He is a stud. He well deserved that contract, and it's that left side of that line is solidified for the next 3 or 4 years, I think.
Yeah, and another good thing about having him around much longer is my man is a fashion mogul. So I'm I'm excited to see him gonna be around for much longer. Was that something that you expected to get done this quickly, or did you expect that maybe right around training camp, or were you expecting, okay, this is coming pretty soon?
I didn't really think it was going to get that. I knew he was going to get extended this offseason. I didn't think it was going to be this fast, but I'm thinking it was more like he wanted to get this done, and then once he got it done, he wanted to get after free agency. That's why I think it got done so fast. I think he wanted to make sure all that money was cleared up, and he is with the cap. Like Howie Roseman is probably the best in the league and manipulating that cap space. So I'm sure he wanted to get this done. So when he signs these contracts with Saquon and Huff and all these other guys that he's going to go after, and make sure he can manipulate that cap like he does. And I think this was just part of that plan.
I agree. And I just think it's a tremendous extension. Again, especially when you have a plan to bring in a stud talent or just a talent like Saquon, which we're going to get to in a moment, you want to make sure that those, and I'm going to use this word again, those pillars of the offensive line are not only here in 2024, but are going to be here the next 2, 3, 4 years. And, with this extension, that solidifies that. And again, we're always... this is said a billion times, a winning organization begins in the trenches. And if there's one thing the Eagles do invest in, it's both their D-line and their O-line. And again, that deal with Dickerson proves it again. Proves that it's a very much a vital factor to what they view success.
And that's how you sign guys like Saquon Barkley, because he knows the Eagles have a track record of making sure that O-line's good, where he played in New York for 6 years, where they continuously failed to improve that offensive line, and which I'm sure he came here looking like, oh my God, I get to run behind the third best rushing offense line in football. That's what he's looking at. I mean, along with Hurts and, you got Goddard, A.J. Brown, Smith. I mean, that's why, one of the reasons, I'm sure why, along with the fact that he gets to play the Giants twice a year, but that's one of the reasons why he chose. Yeah. So it's, I'm sure they're going to go line in the draft again. They're going to draft an lineman in the draft to replace Kelsey. I mean, Steen's here, but I don't know if they're completely sold on Steen. But if Stalin says Steen's the guy, then Steen's going to be the guy. That's just how the offensive line works.
For sure. And then we go into the next one, man. Bryce Huff. This is somebody that you and I have been talking about now for almost 2 weeks.
I wasn't thrilled. I wasn't thrilled about him. But it looks like they got him. Everybody's saying it's a steal. It's a bargain. He's the best highest pass rush rate in the football. That beats out every player in football. So that's something good. I know there's concerns about his run stopping ability, and he doesn't really stop the run well, and that's why he didn't play a high snap count with the Jets. But he does get after the quarterback, and he pressures the quarterback a lot when he gets the opportunity. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do here. Now it's a new coaching staff, a new team, and everything. It's going to be real interesting to see what they do here.
I agree. It's very, very intriguing. 3 years, $51.1 million deal. He becomes the highest paid non-quarterback undrafted free agent in NFL history. To kind of piggyback what you said, John, in this past year, he led the Jets as not a full-time player with a career high 10 sacks, recorded 68 quarterback pressures and 312 pass rushes, which is a league-leading 21.8% pressure percentage, according to those next-gen stats of a minimum of 300 rushes. It was quite a jump for Huff, who only had 7.5 sacks in his first 3 seasons combined. So it looks like he just got it in 2023. I know you sent me that one thing about a stat based on who he went up against for some of those sacks, but
6 of the 10 were against backup left tackles, and then one was like one or two of them were when Tua fell. Well, I think one was when Tua just fell down. He was the closest guy in the area, so he gets the sack there.
Mm-hmm.
He did have a sack against Slater, Rashawn Slater, Malata, and one other guy too that are pretty good left tackles in football. So he did get some sacks against some good players.
Right.
But the lack of opportunity that he had, because considering he only played 40-some% of the snaps, I mean, that's pretty impressive to get that many sacks in that amount of time. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen here. And they still have Sweat, they still have Reddick. I'm not sure what's going on there, but it's a weird thing when you have three guys who generally don't try to stop the run at all. So it's gonna be interesting.
that was very clear in the last 8 games or so of the season that for those who like pro wrestling, Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick went into business for themselves in the last 10 games of the season. So that kind of goes into my next question, and the next kind of topic we're going to talk about is the future of Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick. You sign Bryce Huff, he gets $51 million.
Reddick makes both of them are making too, so I'm sure that's going to piss them off even more.
Exactly. So what this does for sure, and you and I said this in a text, Reddick and his agent probably looked at this and said, "Oh, let's go." Like, look, here's my opinion. If Hassan Reddick is not traded, he is not playing another down for the Eagles unless he has a new contract. That's just my opinion. Josh Sweat, on the other hand, I don't know. So with the Huff signing, it told us something very clear. Either Sweat or Reddick won't be on the Eagles roster going into next season. Where are you in terms of which one or maybe both, John, are going to be here?
I really don't know. I mean, Sweat and Huff play the same position. Reddick is more that outside linebacker, hybrid type pass rusher.
Right.
They already invested a first-round pick in Nolan Smith. He plays the same position as Reddick. I'd rather let him go and let's see what he has as that guy. And draft another guy in the draft. And I might as well just get rid of both of them at that point. If they're both going to be those type of players where they're just going to give up and go into business for himself and just rush the quarterback, because that's how you get paid nowadays. You get paid on the amount of sacks you have. So that's what they were like. Well, I want to get paid this. I want to get a contract. So they both want an extension. If they want to get the extension, they had to get their sacks up. And they both went into business for themselves, like you said. So I think there's like really no room for that on the team. But it's going to be hard to get rid of two of those players. I both think they're very good pass rushers, but they're not. I mean, they're both not great run stoppers. So now you have three guys who aren't really great run stoppers on, as your DNs.
So if you have to assume, you think both are gone?
Yeah.
Okay. When do you think which shoe drops first and when?
I believe Reddick. I believe as soon as this help deal went down, his agent's going to be in Howie Roseman's ear, and he's going to try to get him out of the building as fast as possible.
You think by the end of the week?
No, I think both are going to happen like right around the draft, like draft day. It's going to be they're going to be draft day moves, but probably for both of them, I would assume.
Okay.
It seems like when the big names like those go, when something like that goes down, where it's like those moves where it usually draft day where somebody like didn't get a player they wanted an edge rusher, they didn't get the guy they wanted. That's when those moves kind of go down.
Mm-hmm. There's also reports coming out now that CJ Gardner-Johnson is someone being heavily looked at by the Eagles as well.
Yes, I said that earlier today. I mean,
you did. Yep.
I think him and Justin Simmons are the two guys you now go after, because obviously today's deal, they had just extend Dickerson, sign Saquon, sign Huff, and sign McKinney. And obviously the McKinney one didn't work out. I mean, he got a huge deal.
Yeah, that was a kind of an overpay.
Yeah, I don't think the Eagles were willing to give that $25 million in that first year.
No.
So I think that's what their idea. They have two of the three, and I think next thing they're going to do is they're going to go after some safeties. There's still a lot of guys out there, and I think it's going to be Justin Simmons, who's a Fangio guy, and they're going to bring back CJ Gardner-Johnson, because that defense missed him a lot last year. I mean, they missed him a lot. They needed somebody like that who can cover in the safety position. They did not have that.
So in your opinion, based on what you believe the future of Sweat and Reddick, which in your eyes means they're both no longer going to be Eagles, do you automatically eliminate the opportunity of drafting a D end in the first round for the Eagles this year?
I want a D end for it. I want Chop Robinson or Jared Verse from Florida State. I want one of those two. I mean, I think they're the two best in the draft. I think there's an opportunity that both of them are going to be there. I prefer Chop Robinson. I think he's going to be an absolute stud in this league. He was a stud at Penn State, so I think that's the route I would go. And I mean, you already got one Penn State guy in this locker room now. Let's add another one.
Right. All right. So let's kind of, roll into the biggest thing that happened today. This was a biggie, man. This is, in my opinion, and again, I might be overdoing this, like I apparently do with a lot of things. I think this is a franchise-altering signing. I really do. The Eagles and Saquon Barkley reached an agreement today on a 3-year, $37.75 million contract that could be worth up to $46.75 million. It includes $26 million of fully guaranteed money at signing. Barkley now beats the franchise tag number and has a maximum AAP salary of $15.8 million, which would be the second highest for a running back in NFL history. John, do you? I said this is franchise altering because I think with the right people in front of him, which I think he does. This is a CMC San Francisco type situation in terms of, he's not playing in MetLife anymore, which is the career killer of all career killers. He's playing on a team that values protection up front big time. He just turned 27, so he's still young. He has over 1,000 less carries than guys like Derrick Henry. So the mileage necessarily isn't on those legs. I know he's had some injuries, but I think things are going to be a little bit different in Philly. Where are you in this? I know the contract is probably a little bit higher than we both talked about.
I thought he was going to take a little bit of a hometown discount, but I think the Texans are really pushing hard, and the Eagles kind of he was like probably considering it that he probably wanted to be here, but then the Texans came out of nowhere, and he kind of just like, they're offering me this. I mean, you're going to have to bump it up a little, and they said, screw it, we'll give you even more than you wanted. So,
I mean, once the Swift, unless this deal was done before, but once I think I saw the numbers that DeAndre Swift got in Chicago, I thought to myself, yeah, Saquon's gonna beat this by a bunch, right away.
The same deal as Saquon. Pollard got the same deal as Saquon.
Yeah.
One deal I was really shocked on was the Eckler deal. It was like 2 years, $11 million. That was one deal. For a guy who's complaining about money all off season last year. Wow, right. I guess the league showed you who they thought you were.
For sure, yeah.
But I mean, I think it's a great signing. Once I heard the rumor that the Eagles were interested in Saquon, I was all on board. I just never thought it was going to happen. I just didn't think the Eagles were going to. It was against the Eagles' philosophy to pay a running back. I just didn't think that was something that was going to happen. So I was like, I never even thought about it for a second that they were going to go after any of these running backs. Mm-hmm. Even though I would have loved them to sign like a Derrick Henry type back, something like that. But I never thought they were going to go after any of these running backs. And then once I heard that they were interested in them, I was all on board. I was like, let's go. I think this is a great. I mean, you're putting them against the third best O-line per PFF, and then per PFF last year, the Giants were the third worst. Third worst. So you go from the third worst to the third best. It's awesome. I think a lot of his injuries have to do with playing on that turf. The fact that he's getting hit as soon as he touches the ball, so that's where a lot of his injuries are coming from. It's not like he's leading the contact, or he's in the open field and he's getting tackled from behind. It's a lot of different there. He's trying to make a move in the backfield just so I gain positive yards. He's tweaking his knees and stuff like that. I think it's going to be a lot different here, and it's going to take a lot of stress off of him. And of course, I think it's going to be a Christian McCaffrey effect here, which, I mean, I don't think he's Christian McCaffrey, but I think he's damn near close, and he's a top 5 running back in the league, and it's going to be very scary to see what this offense can do. And you saw what Tony Pollard did in a Kellen Moore offense, how many passes out of the backfield he was catching. And I think something similar can happen to that. And he's obviously a better running back than Tony Pollard, so it's going to be great to see something like this. And he's so dynamic, and we haven't had a running back like this since McCoy. And I actually think he's a better running back than McCoy, even at this point in his career. He's only 27. He's not super old. Not a ton of carries on him. So it's going to be real exciting to see what's going to happen with how they're going to run in with this offense. For sure. And what I was saying this to somebody else earlier, he takes this signing, if he's obviously healthy, if he's the Saquon that we all know that he is, and the kind of talent that he has, the pressure that he's going to take off of Jalen Hurts is astronomical, in my opinion. Having that superstar running back behind you is going to make Jalen Hurts feel incredibly more comfortable.
instead
take pressure
of
off AJ Brown.
absolutely
Not going to be doubled as much by safeties because the safeties obviously going to have to cover him out of the backfield.
Exactly.
He's a great pass blocker, which
he is.
Swift was not. Why wasn't Rashad Penny playing? Everybody's Rashad Penny. He can't pass block. That's why everybody's like complaining. Gainwell is good. Oh, well, Barkley's going to rush into the red zone and they're going to put Gainwell on. No, they're not, because Gainwell was only in the game because he was the best pass blocker on the team. So if they had a passing situation or something going on there, he had to be in there because the other guys couldn't do it. He's a great pass blocker. He's a great receiver out of the backfield. He's a home run hitting back, which that's something they have really not had in a while. And I mean, there's a few things I want to go over here because a lot of people are saying, well, he's always hurt. Well, he's played 45 of the last 52 games over the last 3 seasons. So it's not really he's missing too much time. He's played more snaps than Christian McCaffrey has over the past 3 seasons. So that's another one. Here's another thing. Miles Sanders finished 5th in rushing for the Eagles in 2022. DeAndre Swift finished 5th in 2023. And Saquon Barkley just joined this team. So I think he's better than both those guys. So it's another scary thing that we're going to have to sit here and witness here. And I think it's going to be awesome.
I mean, look, again, this is my second probably hot take in the last 5 minutes. On paper, and, I've been alive for some really good Eagles teams. On paper, I think this might be the most talented Eagles offense ever.
I don't think it's a hot take at all. I really don't. I think it's the God honest truth, because if you look at it, you have arguably a top 15 wide receiver in Smith, maybe even top 10. AJ Brown's, arguably a top 5 wide receiver.
I would even, when he's involved, AJ's got to be top 3.
Yeah, I mean, Barkley's obviously a top 5 running back. Goddard, you can argue he's the top 5 tight end in the league when he's healthy. And then you have one of the best offensive lines in the past. For the past 10 years, they've been one of the best offensive line, and they're losing players and they're just adding and replacing. They do that where they draft and develop offensive linemen better than anybody in this league. So I think that's going to continue here, and it's going to be really, really scary to watch.
Yeah, man. And a couple little tidbits here on Saquon. He becomes the highest paid running back in Eagles history with his AAV, supplanting Shady McCoy's $9 million average on that 5-year, $45 million deal that Shady signed back in 2012. And this is an out-of-character signing for GM Howie Roseman, who hasn't signed any running back to a long-term deal since that Shady contract 12 years ago. So, and if you look at the history of free agent moves, this is up there. This is going to go down as one of the biggest free agent moves in Eagles history. You look at Ricky Waters in 1995, Troy Vincent 96, John Runyon 2000, even Javon Curse in 03. Asante Samuel was a huge one back in 08. Although it was a failure at the time, signing Nnamdi Asomugha in 2011 was huge.
You're forgetting one guy.
Well, I mean, Malcolm Jenkins in 2014, Murray in 2015, Hassan Reddick in 2022. Who am I forgetting? Jason Peters.
I would probably consider that the greatest signing in Eagles.
Well, yeah, because he's a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. That guy.
I mean, that was probably and he really wasn't that in Buffalo. He was a good player. He just became an unstoppable force here, man. The bodyguard, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, and the only big money free agent running back the Eagles have signed since Ricky Waters back in 95 was DeMarco Murray. He had that 5-year, $40 million contract in 2015, when Chip Kelly temporarily replaced Roseman as the Eagles GM, for a short period of time, destroying, single-handedly sinking a franchise at that point.
He traded everybody. Why? And everybody who left went on, still had good careers. I think McCoy ran for 3 more seasons of 1,000 yards after that. I mean, Jackson had these 2 or 3 more years of 1,000, maybe 4 years of 1,000 yards receiving. Macklin might have had a couple, solid years over in Kansas City. So he just completely destroyed this team for no reason. Got rid of it made no sense what he did and why. And it's why that no Eagles head coach is ever going to get full control. It's always never going to happen again.
So we're going to just kind of wrap it up right around here before I get into some info on what's going to be happening with the show.
Joe Mixon just got cut.
Joe Mixon just got cut?
Joe Mixon just got cut.
I just see it now. Yeah, per Schefter.
Also, the Ravens are linked to Derrick Henry. I thought he was going to be a Cowboy. Looks like that might not happen.
Oh, Baltimore already has a running back. Funny, he's also their quarterback.
No, they don't. Oh yeah. They just lost Gus Edwards and Dobbins.
They did.
Free agents too, so they really don't have anybody at that position at this moment. So I wonder. I mean, that would be scary. Having him in that offense with him and. I mean, that talk about, leaving somebody like Hurts. I mean, that's giving Lamar Jackson somebody like him.
Yeah, that's. I wonder what the Cowboys, man, are going to do if they lose out on Henry. That's big.
They got a 5'6", 175-pound running back that only got drafted because his daddy was a scout for the Cowboys.
What's crazy, man, and people talk about how the running back position isn't what it used to be, but man, today I'll tell you what. Today was something else. Saquon to the Eagles.
It's a copycat league.
Yeah.
And everybody saw what the 49ers having firepower, what they did. And I think that's why Saquon Barkley is an Eagle. I believe he saw what they did with him and how he destroyed the Eagles with Debo. And I think that's just he saw that we need something like that in this offense too.
Yeah. A wild one earlier today between the Packers and the Raiders. So Josh Jacobs goes to the Packers. Aaron Jones is no longer a Green Bay Packer. Like you said, Eckler to the Commanders, which was an odd one to me. That was the oddest of them all. Tony Pollard goes
because I think Brian Johnson's a solid running. Brian Robinson is a solid running back. So it was weird that.
Yep.
And he went for cheap too. That was an odd one.
Yeah, Pollard goes to the Titans. Swift to the Bears, as we alluded to earlier. Devin Singletary goes to the Giants. Gus Edwards to the Chargers, Antonio Gibson to the Patriots, and now Joe Mixon's on the market. So it's going to be interesting in seeing where he goes. I mean,
if Derrick Henry signs with the Ravens, I think Mixon's a Cowboy.
I would absolutely assume Mixon's a Cowboy.
Went to the University of Oklahoma. That kind of just looks like that's just a weird. I don't know. It's a very weird.
The Eckler one was the weirdest one of them all to me.
I don't think Eckler's really that good of a running back. I think he's a great pass catcher out of the backfield.
For sure,
he can get to the end zone, but a running back, he's not a running back. Which I think they're going to use him in that way, where it's going to be like he's going to be a pass catcher out of the backfield, get a carry here and there, but they're going to lean heavily on Brian Robinson in that offense.
So, what would you grade the overall? How would you grade the day for the Eagles?
I would give them an A.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
and I guess you're avoiding an A+ because you're also. I mean, you're still not certain about Huff.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's had one good year of 10 sacks. I mean, it's not like it's a thing. Like when they signed Reddick, at least he did it for 2 straight years. It looked like it. I don't know. He's never really played a full workload. He's young. I love that he's young. It's just I don't know about him yet, but I mean the Barkley signing and then the Landon Dickerson extension are both A+ to me. So I think
absolutely agree.
The Huff one probably B-. I would give him B.
Hey, look, all he's got to do is be a smidge better than the first Huff that we had in town a little bit ago. So for those who remember,
don't
Josh
drive
Huff,
over what bridge was he driving over with weed in his car? Speeding over was the Walt Whitman Bridge. Speeding over the Walt Whitman Bridge at 11 o'clock in the afternoon.
I think that's correct.
I believe going to practice that day too.
Oh man, what an era that was. All right, so as we wrap up here, I'm sorry, I gave this day an A. Also, I thought it was just a tremendous day for this team. So before we wrap up here, just want to remind everybody that this show and every show that we do from now on the RTB network is presented by SeatGeek. We thank so much for SeatGeek being partners with us since day one. Head over to the SeatGeek.com right now and use our code on the bump for $20 off your very first ticket purchase. It's always on the bottom ticker there. And we have a couple more that are going to be starting off with us very, very soon. I'll get that. Head over to manscaped.com for all of you that listen to the Ring the Bell Philly show. Head over to manscaped.com and use our code there, baseball20, for 20% off plus free shipping. Again, that's over at manscaped.com. So the plan moving forward is this will be a weekly show. Everything on the back end in terms of branding and all that stuff is being worked on. So I don't have an exact timetable. It's not going to be long, maybe a week or so before we see things popping up here on, logos and things that you'll see. Whether you download this show from an audio version or if you're on our Ring the Bell network on YouTube, like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. But yeah, this is going to be a weekly show hosted by John and I, maybe some others, depending on what's going on in the background in terms of people joining the team. Once the season starts, we're gonna probably do 2 shows a week in terms of previewing the team ahead. A post-game show, absolutely, definitely a post-game show after each game. Those are always the best. So we're looking forward to bringing you guys that. Again, stay tuned to the Ring the Bell Network. Brand new Philly show coming this Sunday, and then the preview show coming the following week as we get closer and closer to baseball. But again, we will hop on for an emergency stream on this show if another big move happens. Like we talked about earlier, if Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick are out of here, if another big signing happens, then we'll hop on here and do a quick show to kind of talk about that and break it down. Other than that, I'm Chris E. Francesco. That's Johnny Mack. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the inaugural episode of Gangrene and Eagle Show. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to giving you guys football content now, along with Phillies content all year long. Every single week, you guys are going to get something from this stream. So thank you very much, and we'll catch you guys down the road. Have a great one. Bye-bye.